and welcome everybody to a new podcast. This one is gonna be like any other thing that we've ever done before. This is gonna be unscripted, unclassified, all information. We're going all out in a new way, where our guest today, Stephanie Massengale, and this is her second time on the podcast, so I am so very grateful. She will be channeling today for us and talking about some really interesting things, the current events with Arya, and I will also do my very best to bring in the Pleiadean Council of Nine, and it's going to be really interesting because we haven't done this before, so this is really cool. So I'm super excited. Stephanie, thank you for getting in touch with me and willingness to co-create for the benefit of humanity, to bring in some really good information, because our extraterrestrial, extra-dimensional beings that are connected to us are just saying, it's time. Let's do this. Let's bring this out. Let's awaken the population. Let's bring them to an enlightened state. Let's bring them to some truth, which is really right.
That's great. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm glad that we're able to make this happen today. And I'm like you are. We have not tried this before, so I believe your audience will have fun with it because it's not that often you get to see two different collectives or beings talking to each other. So this will be fun.
Right. This is going to be interesting. So
it's going to be different.
I'm super excited. So you might see some things that are here in the backdrop of my setting today here in my office where I do my podcasting. And the reason being is, as I was centering in today, the beings that I channel said, it is time to bring in a little protective energy, because what we consider might be a little controversial, right? There is that discussion of light and dark. And it is to create a protection both for Stephanie, for me, for Arya, for the Pleiadean Council of Nine, and also for all our viewers. So what we do have here today is, of course, some candles to represent the white, pure light of love. And also we have some black tourmaline, some selenite. I have my favorite shape of shungite. And also my generator crystal. We've got my special generator crystal that I always carry. And also for some angelic energy, we have blue calcite. So we've got some plant energy here. So we've got all different things. And I'm going to open up with a little bit of light language. And how that comes through for me is the collective of Native American Indian chiefs come in, I center, I bring them in, and you will hear these activation codes. You may not understand because it's not a spoken language of words. It is not necessarily a derivative or spoken language of Native Americans, but the light language is about activation codes. So I'm going to bring that in, and as soon as I bring that in, we're just going to get into a discussion with Stephanie, and we'll bring in Arya. I'll bring in the Pleiadean Council of Nine, and we're going to see how this is all going to shake out, because this is going to be great. All right, so just give me a second to center. Otoya nanaya kataya shekutua naya kutua ke neneatatua ku anariata ke o shuku tunnoyotoa kanayatea ushutea tanayatata oka etata unoyosokua anayata nanayata aka eshetutua anayata ua ekerenene shenenatata esetea kata eke unoyotoko o noyota a eseneata anayakota ushukuta etea unoyota a esete uanayakata. In love and light. So with that, the message that I get behind that is, my head is getting really warm. Be open to the words that you hear. For these words are unspoken in so many respects that what you are hearing today from your medias is not necessarily the complete truth or a representation of the truth. Yet it is a perspective to consider, meaning that all spoken things can be true when looked through the lens of certain perspectives. To understand is to widen your perspective and to know that everything is to come in its timeline representative of every minuscule detail to be played out before the new is yet to arrive. So therefore, there is some destruction which still will be happening, and not to take it as negative or personal, but things that still need to unfold to come out to bring in the new. Wow, so that was the Pleiadians coming right in.
I thought that was them. I was like, is this just him translating the light language, or is this the Pleiadian?
This is the Pleiadians that just translated.
That's what I thought it was. I thought so too.
So thank you, Pleiadian Council of Nine, for that. They are here in the backdrop. They are waiting for Arya to come into the mix. So I invite Arya.
All right, you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right, good. This is our okay. All right, give me a second here. I intend Arya. This is Arya, the Arcturian Protectorate, Ashtar Command, and Council of 12. If we're going to be official, let's do it right.
Mm.
Hello, sweetheart. How you doing?
It is our honor, and we are most gracious for this opportunity to co-create with you in the love and light of co-creation of information to help our brothers and sisters of all races, of all ancestors, of all dimensions in this most invoking time of creation.
Well, it's been a little while since I've spoken to all of you. How are all of you doing these days?
We are very much in light, and we are very much invoked in happiness and joy. We are happy to see the raising of consciousness on planet Earth for humanity in the highest and greatest good.
It's also raising your own at the same time.
Yes, it is, and we are grateful for that.
So, shall we have a good old-fashioned conversation between two very interesting ET connections, or is Glenn going to participate, or how do you want to run this? I'll follow your lead on this one.
We will ask that Glenn will facilitate, and we will come in and out of the conversation to provide further commentary from our perspective. And he has some questions formed in his mind that he would like to bring to humanity the enlightened visions and perspectives of two separate yet different collective energies that are not necessarily from this planet called Earth.
Well, correct. Mine's an individuation of consciousness because I, as you know, have a succinct consciousness. I am part of the Arcturian Protectorate, as you know, all well and good. But in your case, you're quite the collective. Am I accurate that it's the 9 of you all together sort of sending the thought so that the audience understands the difference, right?
That is correct.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Well, continue onward and we will go wherever it is you'd like to go.
We will bring in Glenn.
Excellent. Good choice.
Thank you, Arya. It is good.
You're welcome. I just trying to help facilitate a little bit there.
Thank you. It is an honor to co-create with you again, and I am super excited to be a part of this co-creation with so many uniqueness of different energies and different races. I personally feel that my role in this particular lifetime of incarnation here on the Earth is to be an ambassador between extraterrestrial, intraterrestrial, intraterrestrial races to speak to humanity, to understand, to better work with and co-create this new consciousness that we're stepping into.
I agree with that. I feel like that you're meant to be an ambassador and sort of have more of that ambassadorial sort of representation, you know, that we need to have. Stephanie's quite different though. But in your case, I believe that that's an accurate depiction of who you are. Stephanie is actually ET, as you know. Of course, people always laugh when I say that, but she really is ET. A lot of ETs do not look. I mean, a lot of Pleiadians, for example, look very human, and Stephanie sort of falls in that category. She really is sort of much more in that ballpark. She's sort of our representative, you could say, sort of our ambassador that has grown up here through a bizarre set of circumstances. And so it's very nice because she can really translate well. And then that gives me this nice, really great connection where I can be very fluid in my languaging. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so I'm open to share what I'm allowed to share. You know how this goes. But I am in a space to share a lot more than I ever have before. So you can pretty much ask me anything and I'll have some level of an answer.
Thank you for that invitation to have this open and truthful discussion of integrity. And one of the questions that many people in the United States and all over the world is that they're recognizing that their skies are becoming much more busy. Not necessarily for what they're seeing as far as we consider aircraft or airplanes, but things that are not necessarily falling into that category. We see, or we have been informed that there may be drones, and what we consider as a drone is an unmanned vehicle that has some type of function, whether it be surveillance or for sampling or for just reconnaissance of information, whether it be
I
video.
understand.
We want to open that up to create some more truthful information so we better understand what is taking place in this very time of now, in what we call our year of 2024 in December, moving into our new year of 2025, be it January.
Right, right. So at this point, the intergalactic councils have met and they've had a lot of discussion. They arrived here last Christmas, if I remember properly, or shortly thereafter. And there's a lot that's happened. And so at this point in time, the idea is if we're going to get humanity on board with understanding they're part of a bigger universe, we've got to start doing it. We've got to baby step them into the water of the pool. We're not just throwing you into the deep end. That wouldn't go very well, I don't think. And so having more and more visual confirmation, having more craft, unmanned, as you are describing it, and also having things that are occurring that aren't a craft, if you follow me. So that may be called a drone, but they aren't at all. So there's really two types. There's the drones, and then there's these other. I don't know if you've seen these. Like they look like a ball of light. Have you seen the ones I'm talking about? They look like a ball of light you can see through. They don't look like what you think a drone would look like at all. They look like a glowing ball. You know what I'm talking about?
Sphere.
What now?
A translucent sphere.
A translucent sphere. Now, those are radiation absorption spheres because they're, especially around New Jersey, there was this incident that happened with some nuclear stuff getting moved around, and it left. There was, I don't want to say an accident per se, but there was some. They didn't handle it properly, and a lot of this radiation got released, and so those glowing balls are actually taking in and absorbing radiation so the human population isn't injured. That's like part of what that is. That's that energy. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. Thank you.
A similarity is a slith. If you've ever heard of a slith, the slith are those cloud beings that eat up the chemtrails. This is a radiation slith, is the best way to explain it. That's those parts. And then, it's sort of like a mutt, really, when you look at the drones. Some of them are extraterrestrial in orientation, interdimensional. Some are advanced technologies of your own country, of the US. Some are other things, other similarity types of things from other locations, let's say.
So that begs the question, is our government currently working in alliance with extraterrestrial or extra-dimensional beings in order to facilitate this potential mishandling of radiative product?
They reached out to us, let's put it that way. They reached out to the ETs because we've had a long, we go back as far as 1954 where we've, had some level of interaction. And of course, there's the world behind the world that runs the world, as we all know, the industrial complex. And at some of these higher levels, when this thing went down and they realized they were in over their head, they reached out and asked for our assistance. And we said we would help out a little bit. And so thus we are. And the we is the collective we as an intergalactic council. I'm not saying it's just Arcturian or Pleiadian or Sirian. It's not like that at all.
Mm.
And at this point, I think they've got it pretty much under wraps as far as what happened. And I feel like they've gotten pretty good results. Let's put it that way.
Mm.
Because at some point, transparency, I believe, is the way to go. I believe that the current level of I believe a young 25-year-old could handle knowing about ETs, whereas if this was back in the 1960s, good luck, right? They really would have had a really hard time believing it. They wouldn't have understood it. And I feel like there's been enough connections at this point that seriously, how do you reveal this to an entire population, right? And channeling has been happening for at least 30 years at this point, and more people are having these experiences, and the communication is really flowing. So we really are on the verge of you diving into a bigger world than you were aware you were a part of, I guess. Have more level of awareness. That's all part of this evolution of consciousness, correct?
Very much so.
I would now like to hear what the Pleiadian Council would like to say about that, your Council of Nine.
The Pleiadian Council is patiently waiting, so let me bring them in.
I would love to hear their perspective on the drone situation.
Well, mainstream scientists are not as familiar with all of the aspects of radiation as some of your military industrial complex, who has a larger and better, more in-depth understanding of radiation. However, the industrial military complex is not wishing to reveal itself because it has been cloaked and behind closed doors for the better part of 70 years. However, within this new understanding of what the world is and finding out all of the truths are coming to, and we call this the unraveling, or the they're searching for the correct word.
Reveal.
Mm.
Did they like the word reveal? No.
Full understanding of disclosure that in order to achieve that in its highest and greatest good, to follow the timeline in which was set, that it needs to happen in certain steps. And therefore, there will be a shift in the energies of government, not necessarily within what you would consider this new presidential inauguration coming into power, but it will happen afterwards, most definitely. Therefore, there still is a power struggle between those who wish to speak in full disclosure to talk about what has been happening over the last 7 decades. Yet there is not enough openness to accept all of this information in one serving, so to speak. So
I understand.
So therefore,
So,
there are
go
a
ahead.
multitude of events in which will be happening over the next 16 to 18 months that will bring us to a more place of openness to digest this information, in which we will have to make many, many decisions at that point as humanity.
Well, humanity, are you talking about the humans? Yes, they are. But us as the councils, we're having to make decisions right now, today, as you know.
That is
Correct?
that is
That is
correct.
that is correct. Well, what would you, the Pleiadian Council, like to share with humanity right now? Do you have any messages of sorts or any topic that you personally feel that you would really like to share at this time? I really want to give you a chance to share whatever it is you'd like to share.
Our message is this at this time. Take the information and allow it to resonate in your heart, to find its truth and how it is relevant to you. Do not overthink, do not condemn, for those emotional outbursts can be detrimental to you in many different ways. Understand that this is a part of your evolution and that it too shall pass. Things will become lighter, and with that lightness, there will be more openness, more flow, more collaboration, and many new ideas will come to the surface out of what you will call chaos. Be patient. Know that everything is in a state of change.
A state of flux for sure. I have a question for you. Tonight we've got I personally, I mean, we're having these big lectures right now. It's already started today, trying to figure out. A couple of days ago, a lot of ET groups arrived, and we are trying to all figure out our part in the play. And there's a lot of discussion and negotiation and all of that. I personally will be speaking tonight at this meeting, of which you are very well aware. Tonight, about 8 p.m., is when I take the glorious stage. And I am curious, when are you going to speak? Is your Council of Nine going to speak, or are you just going to participate and observe the information coming forward, or have you decided as your collective to also speak like I will be doing? And if so, when are you speaking, if you're up to sharing?
For at this time, we are in observation. For it is not necessarily our time to be the voice that needs to be heard. Yet,
correct.
We do want to be recognized that in future transmissions, there will be more information that will be important. That will be
Excellent.
steps to work with the changes, so to speak.
I understand. Would you like to come and hear me talk tonight? You can if you like. I'll give you an invitation.
We are very most grateful for the invitation, and we would like to be part of this conversation.
I believe you should. I will be discussing a lot of what happened in the portal accident that I was injured in. As you realize, I recently am recovering from radiation poisoning, as I was doing work with Ashtar Command, or the equivalent from the American understanding. And we were able to divert the disaster for the planet, as you know. And I'm going to be talking about what happened tonight. And I feel like for your species in particular, it would really benefit you to hear my testimony that I'll be doing later this evening. So you're more than welcome to attend. This is, of course, off-world, everyone. This isn't happening
Yes,
here, so to speak.
We are most gracious for your invitation, and thank you. We will be present in our energetic presence and form to be part of this most great explanation of information. And we look forward to being a part and working in co-collaboration with you in the very near future and beyond.
All right. Should we bring Glenn back for another question, or do you have more to share at the moment?
We feel it is best that Glenn will facilitate the asking of questions.
Excellent.
We will bring him back. We thank you and give grace and love and appreciation for this opportunity to co-create with you in love and light.
Particularly about.
Okay.
How was that?
I think I caught a tale of something, Arya. This is talking about the you said, I think I picked up something on you were exposed to radiation through this very recent incident. Would you be willing to talk about this incident in a little bit more in depth?
Well, would you like to share the basics that you know already, or that's out there, so I know exactly where I need to fill in the gaps? That might be a better way to start, maybe.
Let me backfill that, through this incident that took place in New Jersey was a opening of a portal and also some mishandling of some radioactive material simultaneously.
Yes, so correct.
This concurrent of events created a rip in space-time. When we tear space-time intentionally and lack the full understanding of where and when and how and what is on the other side of space-time, it leads for some really good surprises in both polarities, so to speak. So, if please correct me if I misinterpret or misspeak any.
I would use the term portal. I think most people are used to a doorway idea or a portal. They opened up a portal, connected to the CERN collider. They opened up the portal, and they were not prepared for what was on the other side. Now you can pick it up from there.
Right. So on the other side of this portal, which is, if you could almost simulate, and I'll speak through my experience of a portal, is almost like walking through a piece of clear cellophane, and that clear cellophane defines what is on the other side. So as you walk through this clear cellophane, you are into something completely different. And what was on the other side of that was a plethora of other entities in ships that were not of benevolent and having the best interest of humanity in that particular portal. Did I
That
get?
would be accurate. That would be accurate. So when that happened, I am a little bit older than most, and I'm most known in the universe because I'm an incredibly fantastic pilot. Before I was a negotiator and doing ambassador work for the Arcturian Protectorate, I always was with Ashtar Command, and I was always doing flying, and I'm really fantastic pilot. And so we heard about this thing, and they were like, "Are you going to go or not?" The Arcturians were sort of like, "You're too old, you shouldn't go." And I was like, "No, I'm going. I'm a crackerjack pilot. I'm going." And so off I went, and our ships are living. At least my personal ship is a living ship. Not all ships are living. Mine's organic. And we have a spot where you can put your fingers. I have 3 fingers. And it's like sort of like Avatar movie, you merge with your horse. Like, it's the same idea. And so that's how I fly my ship. And so we got in there, and we were just outrageously outnumbered in a way that I wasn't prepared for, nor anyone else. And we realized, okay, we're pretty calm beings. We're like, time to retreat. This isn't going to work. And so we knew we could not allow these beings to come near Earth, that Earth's at this crucial phase of maturation, let's say, of development. And so we were left with no other option but to destroy the God-blessed portal. And I got a lot of radiation poisoning because I was too close to when it was destroyed. And so I just got out of quarantine on Christmas Eve, and I'm still injured and recovering, but I'm still going to be sharing my testimony from that experience, because now all of the different species have arrived, and anyone that was directly linked, similar to your own way that you did your UAP conversations, we have our own version of that, and I'm just going to share my experience of what happened. I'm not, in other words, it's not like a negotiation or I'm stating, okay, this is what we're doing next. It's not a decision thing. It's just literally me sharing what happened.
This is a briefing. We'd call
a
this
brief.
a briefing.
Okay, in your culture they call it a briefing. Yes, it's a briefing. That's what we're doing tonight. So I will be sharing, because I wasn't well enough until Christmas Eve to do it, really.
All right, so give us a better picture of about the time that this happened, because from my knowledge base and from my intuitive and channeling, I got this that right around the 15th of December is about when this started to emerge.
I was in, okay, so I'm an interdimensional. So for me, it was around the 3rd of November. It was a Sunday. Stephanie was doing a show in Tampa, and it was middle of the Sunday day when I was like, I got to go. And so time is sort of a wavery thing when you're a time traveler, and most ETs are. So for me, I left from Stephanie's version of time on November the 3rd. And so that day or so is when I originally got injured. So from my perspective, because we do time faster than you do time, from her perspective, I've been recovering for about 2 months. From my perspective, it is about the same. It's about the same. But I agree that if you were to look at the current merging of time, this happened for you all around the 11th of December, I would say, give or take. Does that help at all?
That makes sense.
I think clear as mud. I mean,
clear as mud. Here, as I am on the East Coast, and so is Stephanie, but I'm more central to the area of New Jersey. I certainly felt energetic changes right away. It was a very wonky energy that things were going on, and
Well, the wonkiness was because when we blew up the portal, they had to merge time, and so there's a big splice in time from that November 3rd to that December 11th, and they had to splice it, and so that's why there's this disparity between the November 3rd to the December 11th. If that makes sense at all, I think it does.
that
Maybe a
makes
little bit.
perfect sense.
Excellent.
So, in your ship, was your ship damaged in any way?
He almost didn't make it. I mean, it's a consciousness, and so, but the beings that, um, the species that he's from, they sort of heal their own, you know.
Hmm.
So imagine if you had like a large octopus floating in space. A lot of our ships are creatures that space is their home, if you follow me. So a lot of ETs, and they're hollow kind of on the inside, like the Earth is hollow. And so you can live inside of it. And these ships, are usually your ship for life. This has been my ship since I was very young. This is my personal ship, not a big ship. Um, and so, and so he definitely took time to recover. He's actually ahead of me on the recovery. I'm
Hmm.
taking longer. He's pretty much back fine. I'm not. I'm working on it better.
Well, we send you loving energy to speed up your recovery process. And we are grateful also that your ship, the consciousness of your ship is also in a good state of health, so to speak. Could you talk a little bit about your ship and maybe give us somewhat of a visual description and maybe a bit of a practical description of some of its capabilities that we might understand?
Capabilities of my ship. It's very fast. I have very Octarians are known to have very, very fast ships, so they go incredibly quick. And there was an episode on Star Trek Next Generation, season 4, but I don't remember the name of the episode. And there's this being that ends up, they find this being floating through the universe. It's like a ship, and he ends up beaming in with the captain or someone. And the ship is lonely, it doesn't have anyone. And so he decides to stay on the ship. And the inside of that ship had sort of this, sort of like the inside of a seashell, how it has chambers, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
So it has sort of a chambery kind of a feel, but it's a very organic material. So it's very squishy, I guess, for lack of a better term. Um, and so um, the energy fluctuations, it rides through portals and rides on time and rides through space on corridors of wind, I guess. You know what I'm talking about? It's sort of like a wind ship in a way.
Hmm. Solar.
Yeah. So if you hit it, then you're just going. It's like you hit that, and these, because this is their home, they know. It's like an ant knowing its path, like with all the
Hmm.
little, you have those ant farms, you can see all the little paths. And it's sort of like that. So that's why the Octarians have the fastest ships and things like that, because most of us work with ships that are a living being, whereas a lot of species, it's more technology based.
Hmm.
Not that, if
And
that answers your question. Maybe it
I
does,
would
maybe it does.
surmise that it has the ability to travel interdimensionally.
Oh yes, absolutely, through portals and things like that, right? You can't ever cross your own timeline. You have to be careful about that. You don't ever want to cross your own timeline. So what does that mean? That means that I don't want to run into myself somewhere else. Let's say that, I've gone back to 1964 and I need to do something, but I'm already in 1964. And let's say I need to go back to DC. I'm going back to Washington. I better not be in Washington when I'm time jumping back to Washington, because I don't want to accidentally cross my own path. That would not go well. That
Hmm.
would be not fun for anyone if we did that. And the problem with the God blessed Sun Collider is that they're children playing with matches. They don't understand what, when they open up a portal unknowingly. They don't really understand. Oh, let's just open this up and see what happens. Really? Okay, have fun with that.
Hmm.
You get what I'm saying? They don't understand. They really don't.
Yes. So from the center of my information is that the portal that was opened up was nothing terrible was expected, and yet they received something that was quite beyond their capability.
Correct. They opened it up thinking it wasn't like, oh, we're going to open this up into an empty part of space. Like they didn't really think much of it, because Earth is sort of out in the middle of the boondocks. I mean, you all don't really have a lot of conscious planets around you. Venus, there's people on Venus, but in general, you don't have a lot. So they thought they knew what they were doing, and then they were like, and even for us, I mean, as I was going into it, I was on the front lines with others that were there, and I'm like, what species are you? I mean, it genuinely, I mean, I know a lot of people say it's a Draco. I don't think they were Draco. I don't know what they were, to be honest with you. But they were something I hadn't seen before. And
Mm.
we're all looking, going, well, who or what are you? And so, it's, I just like to use Star Trek references if that's all right, because it's easiest. So, it's like in Voyager, there's species 837429, whatever that species was, like, they went into fluid space and they met a species that was so far beyond them. And whatever they opened up was so far. I mean, I was looking at it going, I don't know what that is. But I know it had negative intentions for sure.
Right.
And I was like, oh no, this isn't happening. Uh,
And off camera, we kind of spoke that right now the portal has been closed. So we can, so to speak, eliminate the possibility of fear of
it,
something coming through that portal.
no, it wasn't closed. It was destroyed.
It was
If we had
destroyed.
closed it, they could have opened it again. Trust me, we thought about that. But we had to literally blow it up. And in that implosion, my ship was in. That's how I got all the God blessed radiation, was because I was too close. And there was no choice. I mean, you have to save Earth, we do care about our star brothers and sisters. We're like, well, we can't have this happen. They're not ready. We already got enough going on Earth. We don't need to deal with whatever this is.
We're very grateful for that. We still have a lot of learning of experience to take place to alleviate the steps of war and the misuse of our own nuclear devices that create catastrophic radiation throughout the planet. So we hope that uh, through the conflicts that are happening today on this planet, that they will be um, figured out in a way that is non-confrontational, in a way that will annihilate our own species. And I
I
think that we're
understand
pretty
that.
much on that place right now.
Right, right. And so for the audience, they might be saying, all right, well, this is all well and good, and this is great to know this information, but what am I supposed to do? I live in Peoria, Illinois, and I'm a school teacher, and what in the world am I supposed to do? Like, how am I going to help? Or what do I do? Well, what you do, sweetheart, is that you expand your consciousness, that you learn how to love yourself, right? And most of the humans are they're good at loving other people. They're very lousy at loving themselves. They really are. They beat themselves up. They're overly judgmental. Oh, I could never do that. Oh, that's too hard. Blah, 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 right? And so you really got to step into uh, doing a little bit more Zen or meditation or getting heart centered or being like, all right, how do I love myself enough to stop allowing anyone else to hurt me? Because the moment that people wake up and start saying, no, I'm no longer going to allow abuse in my life in any way, shape, or form, then that's when it stops, right?
Correct. I'd
You
like to
get what I'm
offer
saying.
a scientific explanation of this.
I'm ready for that. Go for it.
So when we perform self-love, the acts of actually giving gratitude, to center ourselves, to do the work to overcome fear, we start to embody the frequency of love, which is a measurable and detectable frequency.
Absolutely.
When we embody more of that frequency, it also feeds the collective because it has such a large and expansive resonance that the love work that we do for ourselves benefits the others as our collective of humanity. And when we start to do that, humanity shifts into these higher resonances, which shifts into the opening of new ideas. And therefore, we can start to say, I don't dislike you. I don't hate you anymore. I don't want to kill you. I just want to figure something out now. Now I want to collaborate with you in a new way because we are more filled with positive energy or a higher vibration, that those things of the past no longer become an option. That's
I
part of
like
the
that.
solution.
Very, very nicely put. Very nicely put.
Thank you. That's a Glenism.
I like it.
Thank you.
Glenism. Yes.
Thank you,
I like
Arya. I
it.
appreciate that.
And create your own quote. There you go.
Thank you. So, Arya, is there anything that you could guide us with as we move forward now from this time of December moving into January, as we change the powers at be in United States of America? We will certainly see many energetic shifts because there are different thought patterns that are now going to be implemented.
I understand that. Understand that. Well, we've sort of lost the middle ground, have we not? We've
Yes.
gotten pretty polarized as a society. There's the far, far left and the far, far right. What happened to the middle, right? And so, it's going to benefit you all to come back towards the center because it creates torsion fields if you don't. It creates too much polarity, and that creates too much chaos, which then feeds the energy that feeds negative beings. And we don't want to do any of that. We really want to become more loving, more cooperative, and people are overwhelmed. They're just outrageously overwhelmed. Too much happening, too much stimulation, too much on their phones, that sort of thing. So that's why you really need to take some time to really daily center and really do that. And I'm a big believer of getting sunlight the first hour in the morning and catching the sun going down the last hour of the evening to set your circadian rhythms so that you can get adequate sleep, which is really important. And I would be curious, not furious. I mean, I'd go into the whole God blessed thing just like, all right, well, look at that, you know? And now I'm making this up totally, y'all. This is a hypothetical. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm just using this as an example. Let's say for whatever reason the Democratic Party's not in the mood to step down, and January 20th rolls around, and they're like, "No, we're staying in power." I mean, and everybody might be like, well, "What's going to happen now?" I don't know. Let's sit back and observe. Let's not get into it, negative or positive. Let's just watch, right? Or maybe it'll be a transfer of power that's just perfect, and nobody has an issue, right? And then Trump's in there in the 20th. And okay, now you're in charge now. Well, of course, he's going to try to change things quickly because he's a powerful man. He likes to be powerful. And so the changes may come very faster than you're used to. And he may implement a lot of things very quickly. And it might leave people's head kind of spinning like, how can you make that much change happen that fast, right? But it's actually coming from the powers that be back here. He's simply being told, you're going to do this, this, and this. And he's going, all right, I guess we're doing this, this, and this, right? Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense, and I agree that a good point is to find that middle ground and be more inquisitive and observational rather than quick to judge and to more over, let's wait and see. Let's allow some time to pass to see how everything will shake out instead of being the quick to action to make a judgment to say this is right, this is wrong, this is right, this is wrong, because that is really not serving at this time. That is implementing and projecting our own ideology of how things should be. And we're here to experience something new, and for sure, something new is going to happen.
Right, right. And if I were going to give, a homework assignment, to the audience, right, or an understanding, let's try to make this in a way you're going to understand, right? I drive you all down to Daytona Beach. We live in Florida, and you and I go for a walk along the ocean. And I say to Glenn, "You see the waves rolling in?" And you say, "Yes, I do." And I'm going to be like, "Okay, stop it. Let me see right now. Stop the ocean from bringing the waves in." And you're going to laugh at me. You're going to be like, "Oh, yeah, I can't stop the waves from coming in." Of course you cannot. It is something bigger than you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really important for us to really realize that here's the definition of free will, everybody. Your free will lies in your response to any given situation. Everybody get that? Your free will lies in your response, right? So whatever happens in the next 3 to 6 months, how do you personally choose to respond, right? Are you going to respond in a fear way? Are you going to respond in a loving way? Like, what are you going to do? If it's just so bizarre and unique and so unusual, you're like, well, I didn't see that coming. Well, then you've got to adapt, right? If it's like the ETs actually land a ship somewhere, you'll be like, okay, they are real. And there'll be a lot of people in shock. That really happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, people are just, I'm trying to help people not be the opposite of afraid, right? Like, let's be love filled and let's not get caught up in an illusion called fear because it's not really real, right?
Right. Fear is the illusion, and it is the complete opposite of what love is.
Exactly.
Fear
So
is
you want to
the
be as loving as you can, regardless of what's happening, and always give yourself time, right? People feel pressured. Oh, can you drive me to the mall today? You don't have to say yes or no. You can say, let me get back to you on that, right? It is a good time to not make a decision too quick and to say, hold up, let me think on it, right? So that you really are answering truthfully, that you're really coming from a heart center, that you're not feeling pressured by your mother or your grandfather or whoever it is.
Absolutely. I completely resonate with that. Fear is the absence of having the knowledge in the moment. So when we allow more moments to transpire, more information will come in, and then we could make a better decision on what we believe, where we want to go, what we need to do, and how to manage our own lives instead of instantaneously reacting or responding. So,
Right. And you don't understand like how important each one of you is because you each have individuation of consciousness. You never know what small thing you do might be the thing that makes everything amazing on this planet again. You just never know. And so if you can be optimistic, we've become very cynical. We really have as a species. And so let's step away from cynicism and get back into hope, at least giving ourselves the opportunity to say, well, let's wait and see what's happened. Let's put some energy into waiting
hmm,
and looking for the most positive outcome possible, right?
right. So that really sets the tone for the next few weeks to month or so. You know, be patient, learn the art of patience, learn the art of contemplation to better understand what is taking place on this planet, and also to come from that heart-centered place. And sometimes that takes time. So allow that time to pass. So thank you for that great piece of wisdom. I appreciate that, Ryan.
That's excellent. And now, are we finished with your Pleiadian Council, or do they have anything else they want to say today? Do you think
Let me just see if there's any
before we finish
further
up for
message
today?
that they wish to send,
I
or
want to at least give them the opportunity if they're still around. They may have left. I don't know.
their message is complete for now.
All right, that's what I thought. But want to give them a chance. Do you have any other questions for me today? I mean, we can still talk if you want to, but it feels sort of complete to me.
Araya, I
Beginning
think
on.
that we've hit the nail on the head. We're just about an hour, and I just am so grateful that you are here to help guide us and help give us information. So, thank you for your protection and your service to humanity. And also, thank you for being with us today.
Absolutely. And if you invite me back, I'll come back.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And you can now bring Stephanie back.
All right, I will do that. All right, so with that, I already move over. Reunion 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Matthew, Andrew, William, and Ian. There we go.
Stephanie,
That was intense, was it not?
that was incredible. We had two independent
Yeah,
extraterrestrial entities co-creating through
yeah.
us.
Oh, it's fun.
That was unique. I've never done that before, so thank you for affording me the opportunity to
Yeah,
co-create with you and our extraterrestrial friends. I'm grateful for that opportunity, and it's exciting. So, what a great episode that we have some unclassified, some truthful information. And it gives us a little bit of tooth to know where we're at kind of in this game of life, and maybe a little bit something to grab on also to know where we're going in the next few weeks to months as we move into this new energy of 2025, which brings in the age of Aquarius, and also a new issuance of a way of being. And I think we're going to really enjoy this new loving ability because that's where we're going. We're going to the language of love, right?
correct. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Stephanie, where can we find you if somebody wants to work specifically with you and Arya?
It's Arya, A-R-Y.
Arya, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I like the Arya. She kind of liked that. She's like, oh, that's another way to say it, you know? It's intuitivewisdomtoday.com, or if they want to send it to Gmail, it's intuitivewisdom@gmail.com, and they can reach me that way for sure.
Perfect. Do you have any special events or anything that's coming up that we could note for our viewers, if there are any places where we can find you?
So I don't have anything like in person that I'm doing in the winter. I tend to not do that, but I do have, if people are interested, I do channel Arya every week, and they can be a part of the Arya group, and we're expanding that to twice a week. Yeah. So there's a Tuesday option, a Sunday option. That's because I have clients in Europe that really want to do it, and for them it's like 1 a.m. So that's expanding, and then I'm really I'm still doing a lot of intuitive life coaching, but I'm shifting a lot more into the healing because everybody's exhausted. So there's healing packages, Reiki and Oneness Blessing, and some hands-on healing packages that I'm kind of shifting to a lot more this year as well.
Exciting. So guests, we invite you to visit Stephanie Massengale. You can find me at divinephoenixhealing.org. And thank you again for another great episode of the Ascension Stargate podcast series. We'll see you next time.